Hi, everybody, and welcome to a live video chat. My first, your first, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. In this venue, absolutely.
I'm
Yes.
here with Janine Wedel, who is the author of the book that was the pick for Ariana's. It was Ariana's second book club pick. She has a book club, which probably most of you know about. If not, you should find out. And the page that most of you are probably watching this on has a bit more background on Janine's book. We can talk about that. I'll talk about that a little bit. Janine's going to talk a little bit, and we want to take your questions. Lovely book. And I'll quote Ariana here because she says it explains why it's been so hard to bring about any real change in our country, why Washington no longer seems capable of addressing the problems our nation faces. So Obama's elected, but guess what? The playing fields are still tilted against the middle class and the poor, very much in the rich direction. The banks, amazingly enough, are unchastened, bigger than ever, bolder than ever, balder than ever. Defense contractors are doing better than ever. Corporate welfare in general still going very strong. Whereas the welfare of the middle class and the poor, not so good. So why? Presidents come and go, but there's a group of people who don't go away, who are pursuing a series of self-interested policies and I would say self-dealing as well. And Janine has coined the phrase for them, and that's the shadow elite. So tell us in your phrase, your words about the shadow elite, what they are.
Well, it's a new breed of players who wield extraordinary influence, largely behind the scenes, but they're also in public view. And they are unelected. They are often not even appointed, sometimes in quasi-government roles, but they wield a lot of power and influence, and they serve their own agendas. Their loyalties are to themselves and to their networks. It's networks of people. It's not one monolithic group, but their loyalty is to themselves, and so they're not really working in the interest of the public, even though they're often affiliated with the government, as consultants for government organizations or the media or so on, and so on.
What can we do legislatively to rein in the power of these contractors? That's a question from Paul Asplund.
What can we do what can we do about these contractors? Well, there are lots of problems with them. One of them is that there is little oversight. There's not enough oversight by government officials. They just, they don't have enough government officials, right, to oversee these contractors. But so that is one thing that can be done. But there's a more fundamental problem, Dan, and that has to do with the fact that Americans, we like limited government, and our discussion is always about limited government, and so we have these, limits on the number of people who can be hired in government on civil service. But meanwhile, the needs keep growing, and Americans keep demanding more of government, and so the way politicians solve that is by hiring contractors,
right,
so that then they can say they're keeping government small, but what is really being created is a much bigger, this monstrosity that is shadow government, that is more unaccountable than government. So one of the things that we need to think about is we need to be honest. We need to call a spade a spade. When you're contracting out, you're just creating another kind of government that's less accountable. It's not really subject to the market. It's not really, these companies are not really free market, subject to the free market, because they're on government contracts. They're solely on the government, payroll, many of them.
What are your thoughts on the Audit the Fed bill and its implications on these issues, Julian Erickson? And I should point out that Ryan Grimm, who's our senior congressional correspondent here at HuffingtonPost, has done an extraordinary job of almost single-handedly making this an issue that it was keeping it in front of the public's attention. And actually, it's in the House bill. There is actually a provision there, which was amazingly enough co-sponsored by Alan Grayson, the liberal firebrand, and Ron Paul. Talk about unlikely allies and something.
Now, what is
an issue that exceeds.
What does it provide? I'm wondering if everybody knows what it's about.
Well, the Federal Reserve is this extraordinarily powerful shadow entity which operates almost entirely in secret, and has the ability to move vast amounts of taxpayer money. Arguably, the Fed's bailouts of banks will end up being tremendously more expensive to taxpayers than any of the things that we saw transparently in what the Treasury did. So, so this bill basically says we want to know a little bit more about what you guys are doing in there, and it is being resisted with extraordinary force, and in fact may go down to defeat in the Senate, because the shadow elite have a lot of allies there.
Right.
As Congress and the White House appear incapable of real change, who is? Any groups, leaders, or movements? Devin McIntyre. What a wonderful question.
Right. Well, you know, the truth is that there are a number of very good public interest organizations, non-governmental organizations that do wonderful investigative work, and there are places like the Huffington Post that do you know, a lot of you know, a lot of investigative work, which is your makeup. No, anyways, a lot of investigative work. So we you know, and we can, as citizens, we can you know, go to the website of the Huffington Post, go to the website of, say, the Center for Public Integrity, or POGO, Project on Non-Government on Government Oversight, rather.
My question is more about asking whether you're saying there's a conspiracy here of the shadow elite, or are you saying that people are acting in their own individual interests to create an ecology that's toxic to democracy? I mean, which is it? Are we talking about an ecology, or are we talking about a conspiracy?
It's not a conspiracy. When there are two kinds of players that I talk about. One is a Flexian that, as I said, plays these, you know, roles across business and think tanks and government that are not fully disclosed, so we the public can't know what's going on. And then sometimes these players, these Flexians, work together in networks. They're called flex nets, and they also work across all of these different, you know, organizations that influence policy, because, as I said, so much of government is outside of government, and they're very good at you know, influencing the organizations that they're affiliated with, but their loyalties are to each other and to their own agendas. So that's the key point. It's not a conspiracy. It's a lot of what they do is in the open. Some of it is hidden, but it's not at all conspiratorial. It's certainly not for them. It's not illegal. Because conspiracies are illegal. They are making decisions about how to serve their own agendas, and that's the ecology, to use your word, in which they're operating.
That pretty much wraps up your month of great fame on the Huffington Post website as the second pick of Ariana's book club. Folks, here it is: Shadow Elite.
Yeah.
How the world's new power brokers undermine democracy, government, and the free market. Available at a bookstore near you. Thank you and good night.
Thank you.